Hello, and welcome to the Vegan Transformation. I'm your host, Angela Crawford, and I'm a psychologist, a transformational coach, and a vegan educator. And I'm really passionate about the power of a plant-powered vegan lifestyle to transform our lives in mind, body, and spirit, and also to create a more compassionate and sustainable and healthy world. And I'm really excited to have our guest today, Wanda Huberman, who is the executive director of the National Health Association. And we're going to learn a little bit about her journey into being plant-based and vegan, and also about the National Health Association and other exciting stuff. So I'm really glad you're here, Wanda. Welcome.
Thank you, Angela. It's a pleasure to be here. Always good to see you.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see you too. Wanda and I, met over a year ago. First, I interviewed her for my book research for my book about the transforming power of a vegan lifestyle. And that was really cool. And then I got to meet you in person at the National Health Association last June, and I found it just a really amazing experience. So I'm excited we get to talk about it a little bit today.
Terrific. Thank you.
So, Wanda, why don't you first start by telling us a little bit about your journey into becoming plant-based and or vegan, and if you can just share when that happened, how that happened.
Yeah. So it's kind of a long road. It's probably true for many people I've met. I didn't know anything about plant-based living or veganism until I met my husband in the late 80s, and he was raised from birth this way. But he didn't talk
He
about
was
it.
raised as a vegan?
He was raised from birth as a whole food plant-based vegan. Born in
Wow.
1951, never tasted meat.
Wow.
So his parents ran a health food store and a gym, a weight loss or a weight machine store. And so they talked about it a little bit more. And as we continued dating, I gradually learned a little bit more. But I think the crux of what really reeled me in was I had a 5-year-old when I met my husband from a prior marriage, and she was scheduled to have her tonsils and adenoids out. I won't tell too much about her story, but just her story wraps into mine. And the surgery was like 3-4 months out. She had just been diagnosed and scheduled when I met Mark. And the surgeon said, okay, here's my first available date. And as I shared that with him and his parents, they gave me a book called Sugar Blues and said, maybe you just want to take some sugar out of your diet. Maybe you want to limit a little bit of dairy. Didn't really push on the meat too much. And I was first raised on a tobacco farm in the South and then moved to Ohio. And my parents had a small farm. And so we raised our own meat and chicken, and my brother worked at the dairy farm. So I grew up extremely opposite of what my husband grew up. But I did make those subtle changes. And I don't think I really put a lot of stock into it, but a lot of the times my husband was making meals. He lived right in the middle of where I worked and where I lived. And so he would often invite us over after dinner. And he was also a single parent, and the girls would play together, and it just was convenient, and he made good food. And so fast forward, I take my daughter for her pre-op, and the doctor's all confused. He thinks for sure the nurse gave him the wrong child's records. And when he realized he had the right records, but he examined my daughter, he said, she doesn't need anything. And then I realized, oh, she hasn't had any ear infections, and she hasn't needed antibiotics, and she's been doing pretty good. And so we continued learning and doing better. And she never did have to have her tonsils and adenoids out growing up. It worked well for her. She was a little bit overweight. She dropped the excess weight. She was a little more active outside. I, of course, am making these changes as I'm cooking that way for her. I actually gained weight after I went vegan, but that's a little bit of a different story I'll delve into. So as I'm learning, I'm feeling I didn't have any health issues, but I am certainly feeling more alert and a little bit more vibrant. And so I just started down that path, not really setting out to be plant-based or vegan. We dated for almost 3 years before we got married. So it was very gradual. I started going to National Health Association conferences with Mark. He was the president of the organization when we met, and I started hearing from very young doctors at that time, 30 some years ago, hearing from Dr. Joel Furman and Dr. T. Colin Campbell and Dr. Alan Goldhammer and many others that have been teaching this lifestyle for 40 or 50 years. And I finally said, okay, it makes sense to go plant-based. I still did not make the vegan connection, and I did not make the complete unprocessed connection. So as I traveled a lot for work and I was on the road, and so it was easy for me to eat processed vegan foods. I thought if I went through Burger King and got the plant-based burger, French fries, and Coke, it's vegan. And so I went down that road. That's why I gained the weight. Prior to going whole food plant-based, I was eating just standard American food, but not so much processed junk food. And so once that clicked for me, it was closer to 2011. So it took about 20 years that I was just like this, learning and succeeding and 2 steps forward, 3 back kind of thing. 2011, I realized by now I've gained 50 pounds. And I'm feeling foggy and I don't have the energy. And I just did a full stop, went out to True North, which is a medically supervised water fasting only residential center, and just I didn't have many people go for heart disease or diabetes. I didn't have any of that, but I just felt I needed a physical, mental, spiritual break. And it's a great way to neuroadapt. I was drinking way too much coffee. And so I just kind of stopped to focus on me. Best gift I've ever given myself. I've never looked back. So at this point, instead of living this life 70%, although I was whole food plant-based 100%, but 70% on what I call healthy, I neuroadapt. I now love the foods without added salt, oil, or sugar. And the weight fell off in 6 months, and the mental clarity came back. My career took a little bit of a jump. I think I was better at work. I obtained some promotions that were very important to me. And then it didn't take long. Once I had that clarity, that I started having the compassion for animals.
Oh,
And
that's interesting.
Compassion for animals. Then I started really caring about the planet I was going to leave to my children. And as they're getting into high school, thinking about grandchildren in my next phase of life, which I'm there now, and I have grandchildren. And so it was that trifecta. But once 2011 hit, for me, I thought doing all those years for 20 years, I thought doing 80% was really good. And it is. It's certainly a lot better than doing nothing. And that's probably why I gained the weight and didn't necessarily have health issues for a while, because I was still eating a lot of healthy food, but too much processed high-calorie food. Once 2011 hit and I got it, it just is so easy. I can't unlearn the documentaries I've watched about, the way animals are raised and farmed. I can't unlearn what I've heard about how to take care of ourselves and how to take care of our planet. So now it just comes naturally. And if it is a little bit challenging, the motivation to stick with it is way stronger than the motivation to maybe take an easier path.
So it sounds like you have developed a really strong kind of why, a strong motivation that helps you stay the course, even if there's a day that, I don't know, maybe it's not easy to find the food that you want to eat, or there's something.
And there are plenty of those days still,
Yeah.
but it is easier. And I think as I've aged, I'm 3 decades older than I was when I started, and you start to see my friends are all on medication, and they're talking about they have to retire. They're just too tired to keep working. And when I'm getting down on the ground and playing with my grandchildren and going to the park and being active, and other grandparents aren't doing that, I just feel so blessed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just sort of like you've regained energy and, like you say, the mental clarity, all of that. It just sounds like it's just made a big difference in your life.
Right. In a quality of life, right?
And quality to your life.
Right. It's a lot more fun this way.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of fits with, when you filled out the survey when I was first doing research for my book, You kind of just, you said it so beautifully, similarly to what you just said. Do you mind if I share what you wrote and your survey?
No, please.
Okay. When I asked you, what are the most positive changes in your emotional or spiritual well-being associated with being vegan? And you wrote, I maintain a healthy weight. I have no medical concerns. I wake up with energy and gratitude every day. I have mental clarity and focus that allows me to accomplish most of what I set out to do on a daily basis. I have the strength to do daily workouts and energy to play with my grandchild. I strive to take responsibility for my health, and I want to live a long, healthy life full of vitality and independence. I also want to do my part in eliminating animal cruelty and assuring that I am leaving a planet that my grandchild can also enjoy. Isn't that amazing? Like,
That's amazing, and it
who doesn't
remains.
want that? You know, it's
Absolutely
really
right.
been, it sounds like a major, it was a long undertaking for you, but also one where you learned and kind of learned to overcome the challenges that initially got in your way, and then really connected very strongly with multiple reasons that really help you to nourish your body, and and realize while you're nourishing your body, you're also nourishing the planet and setting an example for the people you love.
Exactly, right. Because not everybody, most people around me have not followed suit. And I think, all those years where I was partially getting it, I was fortunate enough to be surrounded with a lot of people that were doing well in this organization or in this lifestyle, because I was involved even before I went to work for the NHA. Because of my husband's connection, I was involved with a lot of the leaders. And so I just have so much compassion for those that are struggling, because I had more tools than I think any one person deserves. And it doesn't matter. You have to do it for yourself.
I love how you say that people had compassion for you, and that maybe they supported and guided and were role models, because I think, sometimes once we become vegan or plant-based, whether we do it for health or the planet or animals, we get impatient with other people that haven't yet reached that point. And I know I can identify that with that, when I first had my sort of awakening that made me decide to go vegetarian first and then vegan. I just felt like, why doesn't everybody else see what I see? Why don't they get it? And you're frustrated, but then realizing that any lifestyle change can be a journey. And this one is for many people very hard, because it's not the majority, it's not what the majority of people are doing. And so we have to sort of be a leader, often when, there might be people around us, many people around us that aren't, living this lifestyle. So,
And we still have our whole society saying,
yes,
this isn't the norm, or
yes.
it's not what is even the best for us.
Mhm.
And so one of my best experiences is Dr. Esselstyn was speaking at the local university in our community, and it happened that I prepared dinner and took him down. So my mother-in-law, I don't know, she was probably about 95 at that point and still doing well, went with us down to the university. We all went and watched him speak. And you see all these people rushing to the stage to talk to Dr. Esselstyn, of course, and his wife was there. But my in-laws owned a health food store. And I am not kidding. My mother-in-law at 95 was just surrounded with people that she honestly didn't remember making a statement to or helping at her store, just coming up to her and just wanting to say, it's so great to see you. Thank you for changing my life. So I think that's been a big, and that was a long time ago, that's been a big aha moment. That was probably in 2012. And it was just an aha moment that you don't know how many seeds you're dropping. And so just keep
Yes,
doing it. And you don't
yes,
need to be told today, or I don't
yes,
need to be told
yes,
today. I need to just trust. I've seen it have these longer term effects that happen to me.
yeah,
And I believe it'll happen to others you've impacted when you don't even know you're impacting them.
yeah. I love that. Well, and this might be a great time to lead into then. I know this lifestyle then has transitioned you into a new path professionally. Can you share a little bit about that? Both how you transitioned into what you're doing now and what you're doing now, and then we can then lead into the conference from there.
Right. So it's been great. I don't know if anybody out there watching pays attention to kind of the law of attraction and setting intentions. And I can't say I'm well read on it, but it makes sense to me. And I just remember about 5-6 years ago, I was going to help out at a retreat, a women's retreat, about eating this way and kind of having a more peaceful mind about your lifestyle. And on the drive to the retreat, the lady who was leading it, I said, one day, my career, I had 30 years as a manager in the claims industry for a casualty insurance company. And I said, one day, I'd love to be able to make a bigger impact in the whole food, plant-based vegan world. And we just talked about that. And she's like, you're setting that intention. Okay, if you say so. And then after, like right at that, within months of me hitting the age that I could retire and 30 years in my prior career, the board of the NHA reached out and said, we're going to need to hire a new executive director. And before we start that search, is that something you're interested in? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was probably about 2 years in my path. We have these thoughts ourselves, but if you're open to change when it works, then that's what happened to me. I think I was just open for it. And I thought, oh, maybe I could do this a little bit sooner, and realizing that if I said no, that they'd hire somebody else that would undoubtedly be terrific at what they were doing. And then that time would have passed. So it felt like, do it now. It may be available again. It may not. And so I said, okay. What I didn't know, one of the things that was starting to get more challenging with my career is I was on the road more and more. I'd like to be home more and more as I was into my career, not traveling more. And so I thought, oh, okay, I could work from home more as the executive director. Well, I started January 1, 2020, and we all know what was going on. COVID hit, everybody was working from home. The person who took over my prior career got to work from home. All my court cases went virtual.
Wow.
So that might have been easier, but it didn't matter. I'd made the commitment. And the challenges working for this organization during the pandemic were way more than I could have ever imagined. Because while the organization does a number of things and we can talk about it, they're a nonprofit. We don't sell any products. We sell a membership. It's only $35 a year. So that's not where the funding comes. We hold an annual conference. We've been holding these conferences since 1949. The organization was founded in 1948, which still boggles my mind that there were doctors who started this organization who clinically understood the benefits of a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. And they didn't have all the research that we have now, but they innately clinically saw it. And now it's just so rewarding to see the research. And I go back and read the articles these doctors were writing in the late 40s and the 50s, and they're still relevant. It's just fascinating. So I had to go into not being able to hold a conference, which was really challenging, but we got through that. And then the very next year we held one. We went virtual, so people who still were not comfortable traveling could get the message. So that pandemic, while it was the biggest challenge when I started, it also pushed myself and the organization beyond the limits of what they'd been doing for 70 years to do podcasting and virtual conferences and to expand what we offer to our members.
Yes. And, first of all, that's so exciting. You finding that match for your gifts, from all your years in your previous work and now bringing it to something you're passionate about. And I can so resonate with that. I think it's, it takes a lot of courage to leave something that seems like safe and familiar to do something that you don't know exactly where it's going to lead you. And yet, your heart, something told you it was the right step.
Right. Exactly. And I knew, you're right, the 30 years of organizational skills, although they're completely two different worlds, there's no, there would seemingly be no crossover, but learning to connect with people and building rapport and respect and all of that does carry over. So it's been a blessing. And I just am so committed to this organization and the work they've been doing and the work I hope that I can help them continue doing into the future.
So share a little bit, about what they do. I know there's obviously the beautiful magazine that is just like so high quality. I receive it. Does it come out quarterly, I think?
Right?
And it's just like beautiful with amazing articles that are so well done. So maybe share
I
about
will. I will.
the
So
podcasts too.
yeah, we've started so many new things just in 2023. One of the first things I did was we rebuilt our webpage. So you can go to healthscience.org and there's a little bit gated for members only, but recipes and some articles and our library, a lot of things are open to everybody. You join for $35 a year and you'll get a quarterly magazine that I will show you the cover. It's 40 pages long. We don't sell any products and we don't want our integrity questioned, so we don't accept any advertising. It's based on fundraising and what our membership and our conference, what we raise for our conference. So my husband is the editor. I'm really proud of the work he's done. He connects with plant-based leaders on so many different issues, and he just has a wonderful interview style that he pulls things out that everybody thinks they've known T. Colin Campbell. He's 89 years old, been teaching for probably 50 years, but this article, he just pulled things out.
I remember that. I remember there was something that really surprised me. I can't even remember now exactly what it was, but I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Right. Yeah, that's a fun thing he prides himself on trying to do. He researches who he's going to interview. He knows what's already out there and trying to find something a little different. Then we have a lot of doctors that contribute, so we can, we're really strong into not. I remember Dr. Greger said to us one time when we were meeting with Dr. Greger, I'd given him a ride to the airport, and Mark asked him in the interview his opinion on something, and he said, my opinion doesn't matter. The science matters. So that's resonated with me, that you give evidence-based, science-backed information, not opinion. And so we get that through a lot of articles that different doctors or people that are experts in their field will contribute. We have a couple of interesting testimonials and stories from some of our members. We're not a recipe magazine, but certainly recipes in this lifestyle are important. So we always have a chef that gives us 5, 6, maybe 8 great recipes. So the article comes to your house, and when you're a member, we have digitized over 45 years of these magazines. So we have a whole library that's gated for members, and you can go on and you can just read interviews or testimonials or articles or get recipes. You can just, it's sorted very nicely. And we have books, ebooks that you can't even buy. So one of the things that sets the National Health Association apart from maybe every other whole food plant-based organization that I'm aware of is since 1948, they've been advocating the benefits of medically supervised water fasting when indicated. And so Dr. Goldhammer, who runs True North Health Center, which is the largest residential water fasting center I'm aware of, he's on our board. At our conference this year, he's going to be sharing 40 years of research, and he'll write articles. So we have books that have been written 100 years ago on this subject, and you can't even buy them now, but you can go online and you can get an ebook for free on our website if you're a member. And we send, like you mentioned, we have podcasting. So Dr. Frank Sabatino is our host, and he's interviewing great people, and that comes out once a week. And we have a bi-weekly newsletter that comes out every other week. And we have our conferences that we do every June. So,
wow. Well, since the June conference is coming up, why don't you share a little bit about that? I know the in-person tickets are sold out, but there's virtual tickets. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the whole experience.
What's great, we do have a lot of people come back. We have a wonderful lineup of speakers, from Dr. Furman to Dr. T. Colin Campbell to Dr. Kim Williams and Alan Goldhammer and Frank Sabatini. We just have a really host of great speakers this year, and it did sell out. You could sign up on my website. Again, it's healthscience.org to get on the waiting list, because sometimes people do have to cancel at the last minute, and I'd be happy to put anybody on the wait list in if I could. But we've gone virtual. So the good thing about virtual is you can watch live. It's not watching a Zoom. I've purchased a platform that's very interactive. You can chat. You'll be able to participate in real time with the Q&As. We'll have somebody monitoring the questions on the virtual side, and I'll take a microphone back to that person and we'll read your question. If you're a virtual attendee, you're going to be able to chat. There's private networking rooms and chat one-on-one with other people that are attending virtually. We're going to have exhibitor booths that are all digitized. You're going to get a swag bag that's worth $1,500, and it's a $97 ticket, by the way.
Wow.
And
yeah.
there are no upsells. You pay,
Yeah.
there's no come one day, watch it all for free one day, and then start paying. We have just chosen our model to be that we sell the ticket. The early bird rate is $97. You have access to all of our pre-conference items that start on Thursday all the way till Sunday evening. And you have a year to watch the replay. So you'll have the schedule on the Hop-In platform that I use, and you can choose how much time you have to participate live and what you're just going to catch up on later at another date.
And what are the dates again?
They are, let me look. June 23rd is Friday, and it starts Friday afternoon to June 25th. But we have so many people that travel in from other countries and from the West Coast. The conference is held in Cleveland, Ohio, that we ended up starting bonus sessions on Thursday.
Oh,
so
that's a great
Vitamix
idea.
is one of our wonderful sponsors. They also have a platform built around whole foods. So NHA and Vitamix resonate. So Vitamix is located in Cleveland as well. They come to
Wow.
the conference. They put on a great reception Thursday evening. They show you how to use the equipment, and then everybody gets to taste the hors d'oeuvres they make. Did you get to do that last year?
I'm trying to remember. I think I did. There was so much great food, and that's one thing I'll say is anybody that's listening now that maybe isn't able to work out going in person this year, consider it another year, because it's all whole food, plant-based. Even though it's at a hotel, you work with the staff to have them have healthy whole food plant-based recipes, and they were delicious. Like every meal I was like so full because there was so much good food. I was like,
thank you. So the
I was never
chefs are
hungry.
fabulous. I actually submit every recipe, every menu, and I bring one of my board members as a professionally trained chef, and he's actually
Wow.
in the kitchen helping them.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it's plentiful. Nobody leaves hungry. It's always buffet style.
Yes,
For
yes,
those
it's delicious. And there's dessert too, just healthier versions. So I enjoyed everything. And yeah, this year I'll be virtual, but I'll kind of imagine the food and maybe try to recreate some healthy food myself. So
one of the things I don't share very often, but one of the things, if you attend virtually, and Angela, you may remember this from last year, we do offer a one-time only rate for people who are there in person or virtually. And come Monday, this rate isn't offered to anybody else. It's kind of a thank you for supporting us in 2024. And we'd love to see you in 2025 in person. So by attending virtually, you'll get a discounted rate that nobody
for the following year.
for the following year. And so
that's great.
We keep it the last Friday. So we're celebrating our 75th anniversary this year. And so I'm not aware of any other organizations that conflict with our time. We worked really hard. I think a lot of them know that we're the last weekend in June.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And, maybe for people that don't always know what healthy, vegan, whole food, plant-based food could look like, what are some examples of some of the foods that might be on the menu? Just kind of give a few examples.
I've been sitting at my desk all day working on those. So we always have a very large salad bar, of course, with chopped greens and then tons of toppings. And if anybody knows Dr. Furman, he talks about G-bombs, which just means getting greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds every day.
Yeah.
So you're going to find that on every salad bar from breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's going to be a green salad bar with lots of toppings that include nuts and seeds. I'm going to have dressings that for the people who want nuts in their dressing, you've got it. If you're trying to watch your weight and you're staying away from these higher calorie nut-based items, they're going to be vinegar-based. I'm going to give you that option. We have a number of people coming this year that are raw. So besides the salad bar, I'm trying to make sure there's a raw food option. There's going to be fruit on every salad bar. And then you're going to get things for dinner or lunch like eggplant rollatini with a romesco sauce on the top, or shepherd's pie, or shiitake mushrooms in a teriyaki sauce, or lots of side dishes. I've even put, I don't know if the chef's going to do this, but we don't serve coffee. We try and keep this as whole as possible with no artificial stimulants. But I have a recipe for Frappuccino using Ticino or Dandy Blend. I haven't approached the chef yet, but if we can fit that within our budget, and our desserts are things like I have a mango cake and I have brownies with cashew cinnamon cream on top, and we have a chocolate cheesecake, and we have a children's program. It's really important to me that families can come, and my children who are now in their 30s and the oldest is 40, they were growing up going to these conferences and they're still friends. And so we didn't talk about how nice the sense of community and connection is. That is so real when you're there. You're going to make friends for a lifetime. And Angela and I met, and I have no doubt we're going to stay in touch. It's nice for children to see other children being raised this way.
Yes, I can see that, that they can resonate and realize, it's not just me, and, and yeah, that's really awesome.
So we have a party and they get food demos. One of their food demos is going to be mud pie with gummy bears that are plant-based. It's going to be nice cream with toppings, and they're going to go foraging and swimming and art classes. And so it's just
that's really great. So the parents can relax just knowing their kids are well cared for, and having fun. So.
And they don't need to worry about mealtime. The kids can eat with the parents, they can eat with their friends, because there are no bad options.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to add about the conference, so in addition to all the wonderful medical doctors and, that are sharing the health benefits, I noted this year also you have Jean Bauer coming, who, is the founder of Farm Sanctuary, and, is obviously, he cares about the health aspects, but is obviously very strongly vegan for, the ethics and for the animals. And tell me how that came about to invite Jean Bauer.
So I think as I took over as executive director and I'm talking to the board, they always valued animal rights, but we have been more health-centered, and we still are more health-centered. I wouldn't want to mislead anybody. But to the point that we can even have one person talking about the health of animals and bringing that to their attention. And Dr. Frank Sabatino does a great job of that. And we've had Dr. Michael Clapper before does a great job. We have John Pierre, if anybody knows JP, does a great job of talking about compassion for animals and for the planet.
Yes, he's really strong in making us aware of that environmental aspect of what we eat, and beyond what we eat, all the other choices that we make in addition that affect the planet.
And I don't think I'm unique. Once you make that what I call a full circle and you don't silo out one section, I find it much more peaceful and not at conflict with yourself about, why am I doing this? It's too hard. I'm healthy. A little bit's not going to hurt. A little bit to the mother of that cow is going to hurt.
Yes. Well, what you're naming is really important, because it's very true that eating whole food plant-based, the science supports it, helps our health, and it obviously has been shown to prevent and reverse things like heart disease and type 2 diabetes and so many other health issues. And yet, for someone like me, who at the time I chose to become vegetarian and then vegan, I was in good health, and although I have a family history of heart disease, when you think of a history, that isn't always a driving factor to change what you eat. I was not a healthy eater. I ate a lot of sweets and comfort foods. So for me, like learning about what happened to the animals was what really made me choose that path. But I've been blessed with good health as a result. So whatever reason we choose, the other reasons all kind of come together and support us, and so if someone changes for health, but then they're tempted to like eat something unhealthy, it might be that caring about animals or the planet might be the thing that stops them in that moment, even more than
So true. It's like you can't unlearn some of that. Watch a
yes.
documentary or two. And
And they
I love the ripple effect, what happened out of these conferences, and just so I invite my members to tell me what's important, and I really do listen. And I may not be able to make a change now, but a lot of my members said traveling was so difficult for them to eat this way and to still enjoy traveling. And
yes.
one of the members at my conference is a travel agent, and she approached me one year and said, I was never going to do plant-based travel, but if you think you can work with me with chefs on a ship like you work with chefs here, I think we can do it. And we had a conversation that it had to be on very small ships that have sustainability and not in word only, active sustainability programs. So I've now been working for over 2 years with Windstar Cruises. And what has come about is they now value whole food, plant-based, SOS-free living for the health. They've done away with their vegetarian menu. They've recreated their menu based on what I call NHA compliant menus. And starting in June, every ship and every cruise by Windstar, if you see this little green leaf, they designated menus based on the way we cook. On everywhere on that ship that a meal is served or a snack is served or room service is served, you can go as a vegan or whole food plant-based person, and they're going to take care of you. Just eating off the menu, you don't need to make special plans anymore. And if you go on my website and you look under events, there's a drop down for plant-based travel. You can join us, and then there's anywhere from 25 to 300 of us traveling. And we went to Galapagos with Linda this year, 100 people, the entire ship, all whole food, plant-based, and they introduced us to their sustainability practices to eliminate plastic. They gave every passenger a stainless steel water bottle and have water stations so that there are no plastics that they are disposing of. And Windstar, they are giving me an opportunity that just happened a week ago. I have 3 months, and we're going to Tahiti in 2025. And if we can, before they limited me to 50 passengers so we could have private dining, but they said, we're going to leave this open. And if you can get 300 people, we want a whole food plant-based theme ship going to Tahiti. And their sustainability program just in Tahiti is rebuilding the oceans. They partnered with a group called Coral Gardeners, I think it is. And they put thousands of dollars into this organization and donate regularly. And their mission is rebuilding the ocean one coral at a time. And
wow, this is so exciting. Wow. I know someone that went with you to the Galapagos, and I haven't yet been able to talk to them since they returned, but like it was amazing. And Tahiti sounds amazing too.
Yeah. Galapagos was fabulous to have National Geographic expeditions. And on that trip, one of the chefs shared with the travel agent, who happens to be a retired cardiac recovery RN, that he was having, what was it? I forget now. I think it was diabetes. It could have been heart issues, but I think it was diabetes. And she said, why don't you just try eating our food for a week? And at the end of the week, he said, it's the first time in 3 years I haven't had a headache.
Wow. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I guess I've been enjoying the conversation so much that I'm like, losing track of time, but I think we're at the time we need to kind of bring this to a close. And I just wonder, are there any final words that you want to share, or any other thoughts that we didn't touch on that you want to add?
Yeah, I guess I just like to share my experiences. We can all make a difference in small ways. I never set out to make the difference that I think I get to make as executive director, but I still look at them as one step at a time. And so
Yes,
laying those
yes.
seeds, making a difference in your own life first, and then it just resonates around you. And although I don't think proselytizing helps, I'm not advocating that, but questions will come your way. And when they come, being willing to just share enough without oversharing is,
Yes.
we're really all making a difference.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that just you showing up, as you say, and being ready when people come to you wanting to know more. Yeah. So, that people can find out more about all of this on the healthsciences.org website, right?
Right.
Correct?
There'll be information about our virtual conference, information about joining to become a member, information about our plant-based travel. If you don't want to join and you want to just take a sneak peek, sign up for my newsletter. Just give me your email and get a bi-weekly newsletter. But for Angela's people, I'm going to tell you, if you mention when you join that you saw us with Angela's show here, you can join if you choose to join and just ask for this issue. It's the latest issue with T. Colin Campbell, and you'll get an extra quarterly magazine just by saying you heard it here, as long as they last.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Wanda. I admire you, and you are making a difference. I just, like your energy and what you bring, and these opportunities that help us all learn more and become healthier, in how we eat and how we live. So thank you for all that you do.
Well, thank you for allowing me to share my story and a little bit about the National Health Association. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you came. And, thank you, anybody watching, listening, for joining us on the Vegan Transformation. If you find this content helpful, I hope you'll subscribe and share this with others. And I hope you'll check out the healthsciences.org website to learn more about all these options and opportunities that were shared today. So thank you so much, and
Yeah.
look forward to seeing you all again later.